Good day, YouTubers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. We finished putting the railing tops on and the railing in the front here. And all these little pieces that we had to miter to fit in between those arches. We got them on. And we got these little pewter decorations on. There's 8 of those pieces that were painted gold and blue. So all the way to the back on both sides and the front, we got her done. So now, looking at the next step in the computer, it is showing us some baling pin racks that we got to build up and stain and shape. So there's 2 baling pin racks that are going to go here on the bow, and the legs to hold up the baling pin rack are 2 by 2 millimeters, and they'll fit right into these little openings there. We just got to figure out which one they want us to put it in, and that'll give support to those after we build them and mount them on here. And the other one is a little bit of an oddball because it's got bigger legs on it, and the legs are going to get a pin drilled in the end of them, so we can drill a hole in the deck and give it support. So I got 2 1mm pieces of brass rod cut, and we'll put this in the drill press first and drill out the opening for those rods, and then we'll turn it over and put a shape on the end of it to match these shapes here. A little finial on the top on the end of the post. So I did cut these. It calls in the prints for 16 millimeters height, and I cut them about 18.5, almost 19 millimeters. I'm going to make the finial a little more pronounced than what they show. And these I cut a little longer than the other ones because they're going to recess down into that little hole on there. So we got to get to drilling and shaping and staining, make up these baling pin racks. Our next step. I haven't looked too much further forward. Yeah, this is the assembly. That's the last thing we did last week. So this is the assembly of the baling pin racks. Drill a hole in them and put a little pin in the base for the big one, and mount that on the deck and the forward deck. And then do 2 more little ones and mount them on the bow. We've already got these done on both sides. So after we get the baling pin racks done, it looks like it's going to be going to the back of the ship and working on more decorations on the back and going down lower, and the rudder. So we'll just stay on task here and work on these baling pin racks and get them shaped up and stained. Yeah, I got some walnut. There ain't much left though. Well, I'm not going to need a lot for that. That's varnish. Yeah, we will stain it. And I'm going to stain all this too, and that board on the bottom. I just got to watch when I'm staining that board on the bottom that I don't get any here on the deck. And yeah, I still got to paint that little corner piece blue. But we'll try to do all the staining at the same time for this step and the step previous. So let's get to it. Alright, we got that one made up, glued up, and stained. We got the other two done also. And I sort of pre-fitted them into the spots where they're supposed to go up here, so I knew that they're pretty close to the way the posts are drying inside that pin rack. So now I want to put a little dab E6000 on there. See if we can get this to go down in there. Yes. Perfect. And take my tweezers, put them in this rag backwards so I can wipe off excess glue. I can see that glue is affecting the stain a little bit. That should work there. Now up here, one of these has sort of got a funny twist to it. Goes on the port side over here. There's a second hole up. Yeah. Like that. I got glue coming out of my tube. I want to wipe that off. Let me look at the plans again and make sure. We're inserting this in the right spot. Second hole up and one hole down. guess I'm just going to preload the leg of this. Because it's hard to figure out what hole near the bow tip. No, it's one hole down from the edge of the grate, but which one this way, it's hard to tell until you stick it in there. Do the same thing here. Second hole up. And one hole down. Yep, I felt it go in. And then the baling pins I found in the pewter pieces. There's a whole bunch of them. But they're going to have to be stained or painted or etched or something. Yeah, here they are here. So all those are the baling pins that they need to be stained or etched or painted to look like wood. And I'll have to do that all of them at the same time, so I'm not going to put those in. Really, when you're doing rigging, you want to start putting those in as you do the rigging, because when you're bringing the rigging down excuse me, to tie it off on a baling pin and there's another pin stuck in there next to it, it's really harder to work with it. So I usually only insert the pins as I bring the rigging line down, and then I'll have room to do the tie off on the baling pin from the rigging line without another baling pin being in the way next to it. So what is next? We got the 3 baling pin racks done there in the front. We got that railing stained. We got that done. So now we get to go cut out some brass pieces, and I gotta see what all those codes mean. Might be some clear mylar or something that they want us to put in there. I don't remember getting clear mylar. We had black. I'm gonna have to dig around for that. So after looking at that a little closer, those ended up being little teeny tiny pieces of brass what we cut out of the laser cut template. So the ones here are going to go in little pockets. Get 3 little pockets on the top on each side. So good grief. turn the lights off just so I could see the screen better. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try the E6000 for that. Okay, so we got all those little tiny pieces glued on, and the backing glued on. We'll have to shave that off. Both of them are done. The other one's underneath there. So I just got this on there to put some pressure on that glue while that dries. And then we went to the next step, the rudder. So wants us to plank the rudder. So we got two piles, one for each side, because we're going to plank both sides of it. So these are a little longer for the bottom section, and then the middle section, and then the upper, and then the very top. So we got to glue those on there now. And I just used the KitchenAid to cut them because this is only 1 millimeter thick by 6 millimeters. And before I glue it on there in an organized fashion that is perpendicular with this back side, I'm going to sand the corner just a shade so they don't interfere with each other, because the corners, some of them, the corners are sticking out a little bit. So we'll definitely do that little bit of sanding just to knock that burr off the corner before we glue them on there and get one side done, flip it over and do the other side. That's why I got two different piles for the different lengths to work my way up that. We glue those on there and then we shave off. So yeah, I might just do one side, let it dry, and then take it over to the jigsaw and the bandsaw and whack off one side and then glue the other side. Because once you get both sides on, you're not going to be able to see that edge that you need to shave it to. But we want to definitely be able to see that. So glue one side first and then shave it. And this is the pieces that are drying that we'll glue onto the back. And then we start to fit the rudder. Looks like we got to cut a hole up in there, eh? Yes, I do not have a hole. Didn't think I did. That'll be fun. Cut a hole for the rudder. Okay, we got one side planked up. We'll let that dry before we mess with it. Happy Thanksgiving.